John Ulzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Ulzheimer.
Hello, my name is John Ulzheimer. I am a consumer credit expert. I have spent almost 30 years in the credit industry. Spent time at FICO, which is the company behind the FICO credit scoring system, and Equifax, which is one of the 3 generally recognized credit reporting agencies in the United States. And so today I'm going to talk about what bills are going to impact your credit scores. So there's a lot of confusion with respect to what is actually meaningful to your credit scores versus what is not meaningful to your credit scores. So the first thing that must happen, and this is as universally accurate as anything with respect to credit scoring, is that in order for anything at all to impact your credit scores, it first has to be on your credit reports. So information that does not appear on your credit reports will not have any influence, positive or negative, in your credit scores. So things like your income, your net worth, your gender, your debt to income ratios. These are things that may be considered important in some aspects of life, but in credit scoring, they are not. And so that's the cleanest way of kind of drawing a line of demarcation between what does and does not affect a credit score is, number one, is does it appear on a credit report? So I put a couple of things up on the board here that I wanted to run by you just to clarify whether or not these items actually impact credit scores or not. So utilities. So this is going to be a little bit more universal. I'm going to call this utilities and utility style accounts. And so this is going to be things like your water bill, your power bill, your gas bill, anything at all that you're getting kind of a reoccurring bill from a public utility. I'm also going to throw in here some utility style accounts, but that aren't really public utilities. Things like, your mobile phone service, your internet service. So things like that people kind of throw in and kind of, consider them to be kind of utility-like, but really aren't public utilities. Those types of things I'm going to consider in this utility category. In order for utilities to affect your credit scores, again, they have to be on your credit reports. And traditionally, utility and utility style accounts are not reported to the big 3 credit reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And because they're not generally reported to the big 3, they're not going to be influential in your credit scores. However, if you default on any of these obligations, then it is not uncommon for the service provider to send your debt or outsource your debt to a third-party debt collector or a collection agency. And it's almost universal that collection agencies will report the information to your credit reports, and therefore it can be influential in your credit scores, but only if it becomes a third-party collection and only if it's reported to the credit reporting agencies. Auto loans, absolutely. Auto loans are commonly reported to all 3 of the credit reporting agencies by your auto lender. And so it's going to show up as what's referred to as an installment loan, or IL. Installment loan is a fixed payment for a fixed period of time. So let's say your auto loan is, $300 a month for 48 months. That's called an installment loan. And again, they're very commonly reported to the credit reporting agencies. Rent. So if you live in a home and you have a landlord and you're renting the home, or if you live in an apartment and you have a landlord and you're renting an apartment, typically rent is not reported to the credit reporting agencies. There are some exceptions to that rule. Experian, the credit reporting agency Experian, over the last several years has started to fold in some rent information to consumer credit reports, but by and large, rent information is not reported to the credit reporting agencies, and therefore it is not influential in your credit scores. And of course, if you default on your lease or your rental agreement and that gets sent to a collection agency and they report it, then of course that could be influential. Your mortgage loan, again, very commonly reported to all 3 of the credit reporting agencies by either the lender or the loan servicer. Your credit card account, again, very commonly reported to all 3 of the credit reporting agencies and very influential in your credit scores. Your credit card debt, some of the ratios having to do with credit card accounts, the number of credit cards that you have with balances. These are all very predictive of risk, and therefore they are considered in credit scoring system. Student loans, this should actually be plural, because most people who take out student loans take out a loan, take out multiple student loans, because of each semester is considered a new disbursement and therefore a new loan. So most people who have student loans have multiple student loans on their credit reports. Yes, they are influential. They're another type of installment loan, fixed payment for a fixed period of time. And of course, they can be influential, especially if you default on your student loans. Subscriptions. So things like your Netflix, your Hulu, your Amazon Prime, those types of things are not reported to the credit reporting agencies typically, and therefore they're not going to be influential in your credit scores. There are some exceptions. Experian has a service called Boost, and there's a company called Equifax that has a service called Lyft. Boost is an Experian service, Lyft is a TransUnion service, and through Boost and Lyft, you can actually cause certain types of subscriptions and utility accounts to be reported to either Experian through Boost or TransUnion through Equifax Lyft, and therefore it can be influential in some of the versions of your credit scores. And so check out Boost and Equifax Lyft for more details. It's pretty lengthy as far as what gets reported and which versions of the credit scores are being influenced. This is it. This is really kind of almost the entire inventory of information that can be reported to the credit bureaus. I didn't put debt collectors up here because I think most people know that debt collectors, you don't really get a quote unquote bill like you get a monthly bill from your creditors. You're going to get a demand for payment, but you're not going to get a bill with terms where you pay it over time. You have to pay it all at one time. So if you have any questions about what does and doesn't affect your credit score that's a bill, please drop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get to them. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.
For more videos and credit tips from John Ulzheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.